Hi, I'm Royce Rosewood. I'm an actor, improviser, and storyteller, and I play solo role-playing games here on Science Fantasy Awesome. I've been playing around with some new tools. We're talking about 3 different products from the Story Engine. And these are the Story Engine deck, the Deck of Worlds, and the Lore Masters deck. While they are 3 different things, as you can see here, I have put them all together in this box. So they definitely work together. On the Story Engine website, you can purchase printed versions of these decks, or you can purchase print and play PDFs. These are print and play ones that I've printed myself. Now, looking at their website, you might see, ooh, these are a little bit more expensive than other RPG tools. So I wanted to make this video as a guide to say, if you were going to buy only one for solo RPGs, which one should you buy? So we're going to start with the Lore Masters deck. Now, this is the most recent deck. At the time of the recording of this video, the printed version is actually not available in the shop. It should be available towards the end of 2024, they've said. But I've got the print and play version, so I've printed it out and I've tried it out. So how does it work? The Lore Masters deck has a number of different card types: figures, factions, locations, events, creatures. Say you were encountering a new NPC in your solo roleplay game and you wanted to know more about them. So you might draw a figure card. So you've drawn this card, and as you can see, each card has 4 different options. And this is one of the things that makes these decks different than like a random table. You're going to get a little bit of choice. And I find that this just little bit of choice helps smooth over, like, say, a bad roll. You roll something on a table, it doesn't really fit in your campaign, so you just kind of skip over it and go and ignore it. But with 4 choices, you get a little bit of choice to get something that really fits into the context of your campaign, something that you can get excited about. So you can see I've got 4 options here. I've got artist, sage, medic, and delinquent. So let's say that we've encountered a sage. You could just stop there and say, okay, I've encountered a sage. But one of the things that makes the Lore Masters deck exciting is the other side. So all these cards are double-sided, so I could draw another figure card and look at the other side. Now this gives me 4 kind of more detailed prompts to expand our understanding. So for example, they have an emblem or a nickname inspired by a creature, and this one prompts us to draw a creature card. It says they have an agenda to destroy or bury an object or artifact, and that prompts us to draw an object card. They have a trait of brave or reckless, and then they have a trait of cold-hearted or highly logical. So again, we have our choices, and we could be inspired by one or all of them. This sage has an agenda to destroy or bury an object or artifact. Now, we could just stop there and say, okay, maybe we have an idea of what that object is, but if we need more information, we can draw another card. So we're going to draw an object card. Let's say they want to destroy this deck of cards. Now, we could stop there again. Or depending on how much information you need, you could keep going. I'm just going to draw one more card. I'm going to say these cards have musical or acoustic properties. They've got this musical deck of playing cards, and they want to bury it, probably because it's annoying them and it's obnoxious. Great. So the great thing about the Lore Masters deck is the way, as you can see here, that the cards connect to each other. In drawing just a single prompt, you can get this really complex web, as complex as you want, really, of interrelationships that connect to places and people, events and creatures, even materials. That's the Lore Masters deck. There's a main deck, and then there are expansions that expand particular aspects. For example, there's a deities expansion if you are interested in adding gods or divine figures to your game. So secondly, there is the Deck of Worlds, and as you might be able to tell from the name, this deck is tuned to creating specific locations. So if there's a lot of exploration in your game and you're always encountering new locales, this might be a deck to look at. So first you would draw a region card. Now, these just have one prompt on them, but they do have these lovely, top-down illustrations. So in this case, we've drawn a peninsula. And then within that region, we can draw a more specific landmark. There are only 2 prompts on these cards. Let's say maybe there's a garden on this peninsula. And then if we want more information, there are other cards that we could draw to tell us about the origin. So that's like the history of this place. Attributes, these are things, other details, or advents. These are events that are happening right now. So we could draw this attribute, which tells us something. Oh, it's known for a special berry. That makes sense for a garden. And then what's going on here right now? A rare celestial phenomenon is about to become visible. So we're starting to get a sense of this place. This is hopefully starting to trigger your imagination, and you can get a sense of what this place is like. So that's the deck of worlds. And then thirdly, there is the original story engine deck. Now this is sort of more geared towards writers. You're going to be coming up with characters who have desires and conflicts, but it could still have uses for solo RPG. So for example, you might start with an agent card, and these again have the 4 options. So we might choose academic, and then we give them an engine. This is like a motivation. So it wants to make a pact with or involving. Maybe at this point we could draw an anchor card, which is a thing. It could be an object or a place. So maybe a rebellion. An academic wants to make a pact with a rebellion. Which of these should you get? If you were going to get only one for solo RPG plays, here is my recommendations. I would recommend the Lore Masters deck. It is the most flexible. It creates really interesting interconnected webs. You can kind of keep drawing cards to get as much information as you want for encounters, for creatures. You could get monsters, for events that are going on, for places to explore. You can kind of do everything with the Lore Masters deck. So if you were going to get only one of these 3 decks, that's the one I would recommend for solo RPGs. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to this, and I'll go into that. If you're really interested in exploring, then maybe look at the Deck of Worlds, because that one's really focused on locations. Now, the Lore Master deck can do this as well, but Deck of Worlds can get even more specific, and you can really generate a lot more different kinds of places. So, exploration-heavy campaign, maybe look at the Deck of Worlds. Should you look at the Story Engine deck? Well, possibly. The advantage that the Story Engine deck has is there's lots of different expansions geared towards specific genres. Now, the advantage of a deck of cards over something like Random Table, where you're rolling dice, is the deck of cards is really flexible, and you can mix genres from the different expansions together. So for example, if you're looking for like a really specific genre mashup and having a hard time finding resources and tables, for example, if you are playing sort of a fairy tale Western, you could get the Western cards and the fairy tale cards and mix them together, and you get some really specific prompts for that genre without having to worry about tables and making the tables the right size to fit dice. So there is the big fantasy expansion, there's a big science fiction expansion, there's a big horror expansion, and then there are a whole bunch of smaller specific genres like cyberpunk and Western and sort of mythic tales, and there's a whole bunch of them, so check that out. So if you were looking for a really specific genre, now this isn't just one deck, you'd have to get multiple decks to achieve this effect, but if you want a really specific genre mashup, like I play in this channel, like I play science fantasy, and I've got a whole bunch of different genres mixed in here, look at the Story Engine deck. So those are my recommendations. Now, I also have a couple of hacks that I've done to my collection to make it more suitable for my style of play. Now, one of the advantages of getting the PDF prints is that I can cut up the PDFs and print them kind of however I want. So I mentioned that the Lore Masters deck is double-sided. And there is a card type in there called the figure card, and these are people. The Story Engine deck has the agent card, which is basically the same. So what I've done is I've taken the agent cards from the Story Engine deck, and on the back I've printed the other side of the Lore Masters deck. So I've hacked these two together and mixed all of the agents and figures together in the same deck. Now another hack that I've done similarly, so these are the modifier cards from the Lore Masters deck. They are double-sided. So they have 8 different prompts, adjectives, and descriptors. I've taken the aspect cards from the Story Engine deck and also printed them double-sided so that they are the same, so I could mix all of these together. I'm probably going to do a same or similar thing with the landmark cards and the location cards. I just haven't done that yet. It's going to take some time and need to go get some more cardstock. I just like things to be easy when I'm looking for a prompt. I don't want to have to think like, okay, I need a place. Oh, should I draw from locations or landmarks? I have to think about the differences between those two things. I just try to make the experience as smooth and streamlined as possible. So that's it. That's my recommendations and hacks for the Story Engine decks. If you're interested in seeing these in action, you can check out the Apothecaria mini campaign as part of my Sphere Hoppers series. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd enjoy this, please like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment with your questions. Thanks so much. This has been Science Fantasy Awesome, and you are awesome.